Here's how you make a tessellation name doodle, or name tessellation doodle. So you start out by writing your name in block or bubble letters. And they can be connected or not, it doesn't matter. You can do your first name and your last name, or your last name or your first name. But you're going to do that. Now I went over mine with Sharpie so you can see it. You're going to work in pencil. And then once you get this done, if you have time or if you want to continue on working on it on your own, then you can add color to it. You can go over things with markers, things like that. But you start out by writing your name in block or bubble letters. Then the next step, and I've got one started here, so I'm going to go over it with Sharpie. And again, I worked with pencil. But what I do is a tessellation are shapes that interlock, so there's no space between them. So I start to use the spaces between the letters in my name as inspiration for shapes. Now I decided to do a theme, and mine is underwater. And that kind of helps me think of things. But if you just want to draw shapes that are random, that are inspired by what you see, that's fine. Sometimes people do, mine's underwater, sometimes people do things in nature, or they like to draw little monsters or creatures. You know, it's up to you if you want to pick a theme or just draw. So I started out here, and I'm going to go over these so you can see what I did. And I had this curved shape and this point, and since I'm doing underwater, I decided this was the tail of a fish. So then I drew the rest of the fish up here with a fin like that. Had one eye here, one eye there. I don't know if fish have nostrils. I know they have gills, they don't have nostrils. Don't tell your science teachers I don't know. And they drew a fish. Now I could add more details to it, but you see how it interlocks there. And then I had a little space over here. So I drew a little baby fish that interlocks with this one. And then because I thought it was funny that they were connected together, I drew a little bubble up there, a little, and it's going, Mom. And I curved it like this because then later I decided to add the curve of a wave that fits them right there. So see how everything's locked together? And I can't remember which thing I drew first. Down here, these shapes reminded me of top hats. So I drew some top hat-like shapes. I thought, well, what's going on with top hats underwater? So then I drew fish, who of course are wearing not only top hats, but then bow ties too, because you would have to wear a bow tie with your top hat, I would think. The tails are there. And I drew another one over here. They're very happy that they're wearing their top hats and their bow ties. And I try to make these interlock as much as possible with things I've already got going. So here's its fin. Comes out here. So the idea of a tessellation is there would be no space between your shapes. It's like puzzle pieces. They interlock together. So, and I just kept going with that. So down here, I think the next thing I drew was this, what I decided was seaweed of some sort, because I had these curved shapes like this. So I drew something I decided was a piece of seaweed. It's kind of like a flower. An underwater seaweed kind of flower. And it had a stem that went down here with some leaves. The stem went all the way down there, and then I had more leaves there. So see how that filled in those shapes there? Now I drew a I couldn't figure out what to put there. Maybe eventually I'll think of something. Sometimes I turn my page to look at shapes to get inspiration. Still haven't thought of anything for there. Here I was having some fun. This looked like well, it is an M because it's Hartman. So I thought, well, couldn't a McDonald's bag fall into the water. So here's kind of a squishy, torn up McDonald's bag that fits in here. And I'm assuming this M is on the McDonald's bag. And I thought, well, okay, well then there must be some French fries. Some poor person bought a delicious McDonald's meal and then dropped it in the water, and the French fries are coming out of it. So that was what I did for that one with the M. Over here I drew a fish hook. And I was trying to use this little space there for my fish hook, and it's tied to a piece of fishing line and goes out there. So see how that fits in there. Over here is, well, you know who lives under the water, Spongebob. So I drew Spongebob, and he kind of fit in with the edge of my hook. And oh, he looks kind of evil. I don't know what the deal is there. Well, I guess I drew SpongeBob's evil twin. He's got a bow tie on and his square pants. So anyhow, SpongeBob's over here. His arms right there. And then his leg kind of fits right against the edge of that N. And he goes almost there. And then I just keep going. So other things I have in here already that you can probably barely see. I mean, here, this is I use this space to make a bottle, glass bottle that's dropped into the ocean, which we should never do with our bottles. And then in it, I put a message, the bottle. Here's a seahorse. You can barely see it. Here's a little fish. All my fish seem to have nostrils. Could give them gills. Little fish there. There's my seahorse. And it fits right in there with the N. Its body's here. And then it kind of curls around here with my message in the bottle. And of course I would spend more time and I would study it and think about things. I also looked on my device and looked up things that might be underwater, kind of helped me because I was only thinking of fish. So here's a mermaid with her tail goes up here and kind of interlocks here. Here's a jellyfish. There's the mermaid's arm. Oh, well, there's Patrick because I wouldn't want SpongeBob to be lonely. Here's a turtle, octopus, another fish, a bucket, because this space right here with the H seemed to be a good bucket shape, and the bucket seems to be full of water or something, even though it's underwater, so how does that work? And then I had a rope tied to it. So eventually the idea is that you fill up this whole paper with interlocking shapes, which is called tessellation. When one shape fits into the other, it's tessellating. And it's a tessellation doodle because often in tessellation it's about the math of fitting the same 2 or 3 shapes together over and over. And this is more free form than that, more of a chance to doodle and try out different shapes. So if you get to the point where you're ready to use markers, I have markers available, and then if you want to add color to it, that's fine. Chances are these might even take you a couple days to do. So there you go. Name Tessellation Doodles.